Hello everyone and welcome to another interesting video on African Tech Gurus. This is your number one channel where we learn technology and things relating to technology and computer science by learning the concepts and by actually doing it. Today we are going to cover VI, which is a very interesting topic that we should make sure we have understood initially. So VI, what is it? How is it going to help us? And what will we be using it to do in this journey that we are undertaking? So VI is one of the text editors, and it is the default one that will usually come with Unix operating systems. So in full, VI is Visual Editor, but it stands for the V and I in visual. So that is what it means. So VI will usually come in two modes of operations. So what does that mean? That means we will have one, which is a command mode, where we will be able to take action or work around with the files that we have and be able now to carry out various commands on the files that we want to manipulate. The other mode that we can use is the insert mode. This is the insert mode. I'm reading from here. This is the insert mode. And what you can do is once we use the insert mode, we are now able to edit text onto the file that we have. So that means depending now on the file that you want to modify, you can now actually write your whatever you want to type into that file. So those are the two main modes that we do have. So the major difference between these two is that when you use the command mode, every character that you type in this command mode, what it will do is it will work on the file itself. So nothing will be typed directly into the file. So for example, if you're to use an example of the normal file systems that we have, if let's say for example we wanted to move a file from one directory to another, we would use the command mode. That way we have not actually changed the content of the file itself, but we have just taken action on the file. So that is basically the command mode. For insert mode, every character that we type is added into the file itself. It's added into the file, and how we can move from the command mode into the insert mode is we use or we click letter I on your keyboard and it will move you from the command mode into the insert mode. So it is as simple as that, and today we're going to look at a few of the very many commands that are there, and we're just going to look at the very first one that we need to know how to look at and know how to use them, because we are beginners at this point in time. So don't feel overwhelmed, just make sure that you use them very oftenly and you're able to understand what each and every command is doing. So as a note over here, just note that both Unix and VI are case sensitive. So what that means is if you use a capital letter in place of a lowercase letter, the VI will take them as two different entities or two different entities. It doesn't have the capability to understand that this is the same letter. The only difference is that one is capital and the other one is lowercase. So let's get into it and start with VI. So we are going to start, and how do we actually start with VI if we want to work on a file? So if we want to use VI on a file, we simply type in VI and the name of the file. So what this will do is, one, if the file exists, it will continue and lead you to the first page of that file, and where you will now be able to see it in command mode and press I to enter into insert mode and actually edit the file itself. The other thing is, if the file did not exist, then an empty file will be created and you will now be able to enter into the command mode, where you'll be able to see the first page of the file as well. And here you can enter into insert mode and continue editing that file. Another thing that you also need to know is, let's say if your system crashed, for example, and you're working on a specific document, this is how you will recover that document or that file that you are working on, you are editing, when the system or your computer crashed at a particular point in time. So we use VI-R to recover that specific file name that you were working on before your system crashed. It's as simple as that. So the next thing we need to know now after starting or creating a file is, now that I have, let's say, finished editing, now I want to move out of the insert mode and save my work and move out. How do I do that? How we do that is we use this here, what I am highlighting. So what does this do? So what basically is happening here is they are telling us that we need to type in a full colon followed by small x, and whatever they are putting in the greater than and lesser than sign, which is the return. In short, what they're telling you is hit your enter key or your return key, depending on the PC that you're working on or the keyboard that you're using. You need to press the return or the enter key. So remember that in VI, when you're using VI, you've already worked on a file. It is you can just leave the file or the newly created file or the newly modified file. It is saved when you leave VI. So what needs to happen is it is also possible to quit VI without saving the file. So we just need to make sure that each and every single time that you're exiting your VI, you make sure that you have saved it and you have quit in the proper way. So if you want to escape from insert mode to command mode, or you want to be able to write the commands that you want, once you are in insert mode, you simply press the escape button, which is usually on most devices on the top left, the very, very top left, ESC, which stands for escape button. So let's look at some of these few commands and what they do so that you're able to understand how we'll use them in the future. So here with this full colon X and pressing enter on our button, what will that do? It will quit VI and it will write out the modified file to the file name in the original invocation. It's just as simple as that. It is the equivalent of pressing your save button on a document. Let's say, for example, a Word document that you are working on, and let's say, for example, this specific document was called tutorial, and you had already created it and now you are editing it. It already existed, it's just that it was empty, but now you have actually edited it and now you are modifying that file to have what you have actually edited right now. So it's as simple as that. So here we are just quitting VI and writing out the modified file, which is whatever text we have put into this file that we have, and we are taking that into the file name that was originally there, which we had earlier created. It's as simple as that. This is the same as using WQ and pressing enter. It does the very, very same thing, so don't be worried. So you can either use X or WQ. Yes. The other one that we have is Q, just simply Q, and what that does, it simply quits or exits VI. And this one with an exclamation mark is it will quit VI even though the latest changes have not yet been saved for this specific call that we are making. So this will be some of the few VI commands that you'll be using very, very oftenly. So make sure you're able to understand this, otherwise you're going to have a very hard time using VI if you want to use VI. Now we move to the next one, which is us using or moving around with the cursor. So remember, we are not using our mouse at this point because the command interface does not give us that usability for us to use. So here we have to use commands as well if you want to use our cursor in our PC. So if you want to move down on a line, you can use letter J. If you want to move up one line or just once, you can use letter K. If you want to move your cursor to the left, just one single character, you can use H. And if you want to move your character to the right by one space, you can use letter L. Remember, here you can also use the down, up, left, and right arrows that you have on your PC accordingly. So feel free to either use the up or down or the letters that they have given here, J, K, H, and L. Feel free to go through all this. You really need to make sure you understand what is happening, but I'm just giving you an overview and just helping you understand so that it's easier for you to learn more concepts. One other thing that you might really want to make sure you understand is if you want to move your cursor to the very start of the current line in which your cursor is at, you can use the number 0. Just by clicking the number 0, you'll be able now to move from wherever you are in that specific line to the very beginning of the line. And if you want to move the cursor to the end of that specific line as well that you're in, you simply use the $sign. And if you want to move your cursor to the beginning of the next word, so let's say your cursor was in between a specific word and you want to move it to the beginning of the next word, you simply use W. And if you want to move your cursor back to the beginning of the preceding word, you simply use B. So please don't feel overwhelmed by this. It will take a bit of time to get used to, so take your time and let it soak in and sink in. Also, if let's say you're working on your file and you're in the middle of your file and you want to move your cursor to the first line of the file, the very beginning, you simply use the full colon and 0. And if you want to move your cursor to line N, which is a specific line, you simply type in the full colon and that number of that line that you're looking to move to. And if you want to move to the very last line in that file that you're working on, you simply use the full colon and the $sign. Yes, so those are some of the ones that you might not use frequently, but please make sure you also understand them very, very well. So another thing that you need to know is about screen manipulation. And here we have a few commands that will allow the VI editor or the window to help us move up or down on several lines instead of moving one by one. So if we use the upward arrow and F, we are able to move forward one screen. So one screen is an equivalent of, let's say, one page. So a screen will be basically what you're able to see at one go. So that is what will happen. It will just move you forward one screen. If you want to move back, you use up arrow and B. If you want to move down, up arrow and D. So it's very simple. Once you get the hang of one, you're able to understand what is happening with the rest. So another thing I wanted to quickly move to is how do you add and change and delete text. And here, if you use letter U, you'll be able to undo whatever you just did. So this will be a good example of doing a Control Z moment on your Word document or on your Excel document. And here, whatever changes you have made, you can simply undo them. Another thing I want us to look at is how do you insert and add text. So remember when I mentioned that there are two commands, there are two modes that you can use. You can use the command mode and you can use the insert mode. So with the insert mode, we are able to put text or edit the file and input text into it. So how we do that is once you open your file, once you say VI and the name of our file, let's call it tutorial. So once we type in VI tutorial, it will move us into the file, but we will be able to see the first screen or the first page of that file in command mode. So we need to move into insert mode, and how we do that is we click I on our keyboard. I will take us through the tasks for today and we will actually see how we actually do some of these things step by step. So if you want to insert text at the beginning of the current line, you simply type capital I. If you want to append text after a cursor or after the cursor, you use A. And if you want to append text at the end of the current line, you use capital A. So it's as simple as that. And with all this, there is this remark. So until escape is hit. So what this means is when you have finished inserting or adding text into your file, remember you'll be doing this only in insert mode. How you escape or move out of insert mode and save the file and do all that is you press your escape button on your PC or on your keyboard or whatever device that you're using. So it's as simple as that. And once you hit the escape, you will now be able to save the file and you'll be saving it in the command mode. So I hope you got that one. So I will be showing this more in the task today, so don't feel overwhelmed. One thing I want us to look at real quick is how do you change text that you've already modified. So you can use small r if you want to replace a single character under a cursor. So here you just simply replace one single character, and if you want to replace characters which are starting with the current cursor position where you've placed your cursor and you want to replace several characters, you simply use capital R. So most likely you might not use this at the very beginning, but make sure you understand this to the core. I want us to really quickly jump to one that might be very useful, and it might be how do you delete an entire line depending on where your cursor is at. And how you do that is you use double D in small letters. So whatever is in asterisk, please make sure you really understood those ones, because those are some of the key concepts that you might be using a lot on a daily basis when you're editing your files and when you're working on the tasks on a daily basis. One other thing I want us to look at is how do you save and read files. So here we have commands that will permit you to input and output files other than the named file which you're currently working with. So for example, if we use this command, here we will read the file named file name. So this file name is a placeholder. It can be any name that you've saved it as. Here we will read that file that is there present and insert after the current line. So it's as simple as that. If it's overwhelming, please take it slow, but feel free to play around with these commands as well. Another one that we have is this full colon and W. So it will write the current contents to the file named in the original VI call. So here what it's saying is you had already done your VI tutorial, you've already worked on it, and now you want to save it and you want to read it. So when you do full colon and W, it is simply writing whatever you have edited and saving it into that file. So it's the equivalent of just saying saving. Now I believe we are good to go and we can cover the quiz that we have for today. So I have quickly opened the exercise that we have today. We only have one resource for today, and please make sure that at the end of each and every single project you're able to explain it to someone else or to your friend who's struggling to understand the concepts without the use of Google or without the use of anyone. So also make sure you've been able to understand this. You can quickly copy them or ask a friend if you have a friend with you. And one thing I want us to do now is the quiz. So we don't have very many questions, they're just 3. And here we've been asked, how do you enter the command mode in VI? So here, take a minute, pause, think about it. It's not very hard, but it needs you to be able to have really understood the concepts. So here, how do you do that? Most of the time you will need to enter command mode in VI after you have finished editing your file in insert mode. So you need to be able to save it and maybe to move it to a different location. And how you do that is you need to move from insert mode to command mode by pressing the escape button on your PC. It's as simple as that. Yes. The other question is VI is included with almost every Linux distribution system. Is this true or is this false? Remember when we were looking at the concepts, they said that VI is one of the popular editors that usually comes prepackaged with Unix-based systems, and Linux is one of those systems, so this statement is true. The other question is, how do you enter insert mode in VI? You enter insert mode in VI by pressing letter I on your keyboard, which will move you from the command mode into the insert mode for you to be able to work on the text file. The other question is, how do you quit VI? How do you quit VI? And how we quit VI is, we have already quit VI by pressing escape, and now we are in command mode, but we are still in VI. It's just that we are in command mode. And how we do that is, we type in a full colon followed by Q, which stands for quitting, and press enter. And that way you will be able to move from VI and back into your environment. So that is it for the quiz. Let's now move on to the tasks. So here we have the tasks, and they are very simple, but they will help us understand and make sure whether we have fully internalized the concepts that we have looked at today. So how do you navigate? So here they're telling us navigate to root and create a directory named this. So let me open my environment in a minute and then we can continue. So I've already opened my environment, so let us create a directory called 02vi. I hope you remember how to create a directory. It is mkdir, and the name of the directory, paste it there. And then now when we do ls, we'll be able to see all our directories that we do have. So that is done. We've already created our directory, so now we can move to the next step. So here they're asking us, what is a command to insert text before a cursor? What is the command to insert text before a cursor? And you're supposed to write our solution into a file called inserting, that is inside the directory vi 02vi, and this directory is inside our root, or whichever place or location you have your directory in. So here I want to move into the directory 02vi. So how do we do that? We do cd 002vi, and now we can move in. And now if we use pwd to check where we are at, we can see that we are already inside that specific directory that we have created. So how do you what command do you use to insert text before a cursor? The answer is simple. It is letter I in small letters. So now we can create this file called inserting, and we use vi and the name of the file. So this is what I was saying earlier. When you want to create a file and move into the I mode, this is what you type. You type vi and the name of the file, and at this point you need to press enter or your return key on your PC. So now I'm going to press enter, and what you see here is it's taking us to the very first page or the very first screen where we can now be able to edit the file or manipulate the file. So here, if you notice, we are not able to edit this file because we are in command mode. So now I want you to look at my screen here at the bottom. I want to press I on my PC, and note what will happen here. When you press I, you'll be able to see this name insert. So it's telling you that right now you have moved from command mode and now you have come into insert mode. So now you can go ahead and type whatever it is that you want to type or edit the file. So now the answer to this specific question is I. So if I press I, as you can see, I'm able to edit this file. And that is the only thing that we need to do with this one. We just need to put in the answer of what is the command to insert text before the cursor. As simple as that. You use letter I, or you press letter I if you want to insert text before a cursor. So now we can move from insert mode into command mode, and the same thing, I want you to look at my screen at the bottom here. I'm going to press escape on my device, and now we can't see insert mode, so that is telling us that we are in command mode. So I want to save this document and quit at the same time. How am I going to do that? I'm going to type full colon and W and Q. Remember, you can also use full colon and X, but here I'm going to use WQ. And the next thing I need to do, as you can see, the cursor is blinking at the bottom. I want to press enter. And now I have been able to successfully create a file called Insati. I have edited it and I have escaped VI, and I have come back to my editor or my environment where I can move around in my computer. So it's as simple as that, and it might sound a little bit complex, but just go through it over and over again until it becomes normal. So the next thing that they're asking us is, what is the command to delete and cut the current line? And cut the current line. So we looked at this earlier, and how we do that is we use double D. So here I'm going to create a file called cutting, enter into insert mode and type the answer, which is DD, escape again, and save my file. Here in this one, I've decided to use X, small letter X, and press enter. And again, I have created a file called cutting. I have edited it, and I have been able to escape and move out of the VI environment. So now we can move to the next question, which is pasting. So what is the command to paste the lines in the buffer into the text after the current line? If you want to paste, what do you do? This one is also simple. We looked at it earlier. It's also in the file. And how we do that is we type simply small p. So small p is what will help us move from, it will help us paste the lines in the buffer into the text after the current line where we are at in that specific document that you're working on. The other question that we need to answer is, what is the command to undo what you just did? So remember, if you want to undo in your normal environment, in your normal file system in our PCs, we simply use the keyboard binding of Control and Z at the same time. But when we're using VI editors, it's different. It is going to be simply letter U. So it's as simple as that, simply letter U. So here I'm going to type U and save this file, and that's simple. It's as simple as that. Don't overthink it, but make sure you've understood the concept. The next question is, what is a command to quit VI even though the latest changes have not been saved? Even though the latest changes have not been saved. We looked at this one earlier. I hope you remember. We looked at this one earlier, and it is full colon Q and an exclamation mark. Remember, there's a difference between full colon and Q alone and full colon Q with an exclamation mark. With the exclamation mark, what it does is it will help you quit VI even though the latest changes that you have made have not been saved with the specific VI call that you used. So now we can save this file and move to the next question, which is, what is the command to move the cursor to the start of the current line? What is the command to move the cursor to the start of the current line? With this one, I'm going to copy the name of the file because it's a bit long. And I'm just going to paste it here, VI, and the name of the file, which is the beginning of the file. And I hope you remember this one. We looked at it. It was number 0. Number 0. So it will move you from wherever it is that you are in your line to the very beginning of that line. And that is our answer, and we save it and we move to the next question and the final one, which is, what is the command to move the cursor to the end of a line? To the end of a line. This one is the dollar sign that we used or that we saw earlier, and it will move us from wherever it is that we are in our line to the very end of that specific line. So that marks the end of today's content, which is VI. I hope you've understood it. I hope you've been able to understand the quiz as well, and you've been able to know how to work around with the tasks. If you liked today's video, please give it a thumbs up. Please share it with a friend. Please subscribe to the channel as well, because it encourages us to teach more, for us to be able to be better at understanding the concepts and better learn and grow together. Thank you for today, and until next time, happy coding.